Good morning. Thank you for joining me for another 5 good minutes with the Word, or maybe 10. I'm Barry Bryson, and we're continuing our study entitled Recommended Reading. And I would like for you to recommend to you the first 6 chapters of the 12 chapters of the book of Daniel. Now, in not covering every book of the Bible, I hope you don't think I'm slighting them. I'm just picking some highlights out that are important to me, and I think will be important to you. Not saying they're more important than the others, but just to talk to you about a way to read certain passages. I don't think I have to tell you how to read Jeremiah or Ezekiel. I mean, heavens, it's pretty evident what their message is. This place is doomed. And this is what God says about it. They have wonderful passages. And of course, if you're ever going to do a study of the book of Revelation, as I know you are, because it's the one book everybody wants to study all the time, if you're ever going to do a study of the book of Revelation, you cannot do that until you study the last 6 books or chapters of the book of Daniel and at least the book of Zechariah. I think you should probably spend time in Isaiah as well. But those two, especially those last 6 chapters of the book of Daniel, inform the book of Revelation so completely. You have to study that before you study the book of Revelation. So there's my pitch for that. But I want to recommend to you, as of ultimate importance, the first 6 chapters, excuse me, of the book of Daniel, because it is nothing less than a survival manual for God's people. How do we, who don't belong here in this place, survive with our integrity as we try to do our best in the world in which we find ourselves? How do we be the best soldier, the best airman, the best lawyer, the best accountant, the best teacher, um, the best electrician that we can be, having to navigate life in a sinful world, surrounded by people. When we are where we don't belong here. And that is so important for us Christians because we don't belong here. Our citizenship is in heaven, Philippians chapter 3. This world is not our home. We're just passing through. New Testament is so clear about that. And yet we are here. We're in the world, not of the world. Jesus said, I wouldn't take them out of the world, but I would keep them from the evil one. Well, John 17, how do you do that? How do you live that life? Daniel tells us. Daniel and Hananiah, Azariah, Mishael, these 4, teenagers from the city of Jerusalem, who themselves have grown up in a corrupt city and a sinful city, but who have maintained their own integrity, are hauled off to Babylon and are having to learn how to navigate life in a sinful society and maintain your integrity before God. And it cannot be improved upon as a survival manual. It cannot. Um, so let's talk about it for just a little bit. Um, so we 586 BC, Nebuchadnezzar's forces destroy the city of Jerusalem, and they haul away the people into captivity. Now, the Babylonians are not the Assyrians. The Assyrians are perhaps the most brutal and violent people who have ever existed, in a long line of brutal and violent people. I think maybe Attila the Hun might have survived among the Assyrians, but I don't know. I mean, those people, they were as brutal as any humans have ever been. The Babylonians thought of themselves as and were a great deal more enlightened. Not like Cyrus the Persian. He's a singularity in ancient history. He's a singularity in human history. But they were much more enlightened. And so as they hauled away the Jews into captivity, they didn't scatter them the way the Assyrians did. They took them and they didn't enslave everyone. They let folks have jobs and they had trades. They could ply their trade. In fact, the Jews, over the course of their time in Babylon and then in Persia, really did well. There was a reason God sent them there. It was to purify them from their idolatry, which we'll see when we look at some of the minor prophets. And that happened. and to solidify them as a people. And that happened. And some of their people attained the highest levels of power, as did Hananiah, Azariah, Mishael, and Daniel. We know the three friends by their Babylonian names, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Although Daniel was given a Babylonian name, Belteshazzar, he went by his name Daniel. He was allowed to keep his name. And of course, he achieved the absolute highest levels of power, survived three empires. Babylonian, Medes, Persians, he was there for all of it and saw all of it and was in the halls of power for all of it. But they were teenage boys who were plucked out because of their good education, their good looks, and their good health, and sent to government service school. That happens in the first chapter of Daniel. And so they're set on a path of success. But at what price? Will it be at the price of their faith? And it never is. And they always find ways to be respectful of their rulers. They never plot rebellion. Whenever they're going to be thrown into the lion's den or the fiery furnace, they're respectful of their leaders and accept the judgment, the unjust judgment that's been given to them, and trust the Lord to to um, rescue them. Two things that I want us to think about. I'm not going to retell all these stories because I've been taking double our time over and over again. But two things I want us to remember, one from Daniel and one from Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego's answer to Nebuchadnezzar when he threatens to throw them in the fiery furnace because they won't bow down to his idol. They say, we don't have any reason to defend ourselves before you, O king. You know how well we have acted, and the hard work that we've done and the respect that we paid to you. However, we're not going to bow down we are not going to bow down to your idol. And anyway, they say, our God is able to deliver us from this fire. Nothing you can do to us, this is in chapter 3, that our God cannot save us from. But even if he doesn't, and it's that even if that I want us to remember, even if he doesn't, we're not going to bow down to the idol. He may save us or he may not. That whatever is his will, but we're going to remain faithful. And then when Daniel knew that if he prayed, he was going to be thrown into the lion's den. There's nothing that said he could not pray in his own head. Nothing. Prayer is like when I was in school, and the Madeline Murray O'Hair decision came down. They got rid of prayer in schools. Nobody got rid of prayer in schools. How many times did I pray when I was in school, especially on the eve of a difficult test? But we did it in our own heads. But he had the habit of praying facing toward Jerusalem, and he was not going to change that for sinful people. And so he maintained his habits of life, his habits of righteousness, his habits of devotion. It's just it's such a survival manual. It is unexcelled anywhere as a survival manual for living in the world, the sinful world where you do not belong because you belong to God. And that is what every Christian is. And that's why those first 6 chapters of the book of Daniel are reading we should enjoy frequently because they're so necessary to our own survival in this world. Okay, the next time we're together, we're going to talk about Hosea, and looking forward to that. We'll get together then. Thank you for joining me.